In veterinary practice, we often have to make and fit Elizabethan collars. Sometimes I anticipate the possible need for one, and Percy is an example of such a case. Percy is the Galah that I've just put a bandage on, or put a splint on his foot after doing a lot of physiotherapy on his toes to unclench his foot. And so far, observing him over say 20 minutes, he has not tried to chew at the dressing at all, hasn't even tried to bite at the decoys. However, if we were to make an Elizabethan collar, we could use a thick plastic that goes on the front of a book, like my book Caring for Birds with Love and Gratitude, that you can buy through my website, drrossperry.com.au, drrossperry.com.au. You can get this book, and that covers probably 60 to 70% of the issues that people are going to bring their birds to vets about. Got a lot of useful advice in that form. General. I'm going to use a piece of X-ray film because I don't want to cut up my book, so I'm going to use a piece of old X-ray film. So in this case, what we'll do is, for a Galah, I'm going to trace a circle that is nearly the diameter of this X-ray film. So let's show you a trick of how to do a circle. If you haven't got, you can do something like that, but that's more the size of a cockatiel Elizabethan collar. So I'm going to make a bigger one. So the way I do that is to put my little finger here as a pivot, grab a pen and start spinning the circle when I decide how wide I want it. So I'm going to say that's about wide enough for a Galah. So here we go. Okay, the circle's not quite perfect, but it is pretty good. So the next step will be to cut that out. Elizabethan collars are usually fitted for one of two purposes. One is to stop birds mutilating themselves. The other is to stop them from mutilating a cast or a dressing or a bandage that has been applied to them. The mutilation of themselves usually involves feather picking, but sometimes it involves biting at their toes, biting a hole in their chest and so forth. Whenever a bird is mutilating itself, there is a series of underlying issues that need to be addressed. Now, next step with this one, with the making the Elizabethan collar, is just to fold it a couple of times in the middle, like there, and then crosswise, and that will give me a pretty good indication as to where the centre of the circle is. I'm now going to just draw quickly a circle that is about the size that I want to cut out, centering over the cross, just to give myself a bit of an indication as to where I want a circle that, well, it's probably about 2 centimetres across, maybe a little bit bigger, but not much bigger. So we'll then cut in from the perimeter of the collar to that circle, and then just quietly cut out the piece in the middle. Yeah, I know, Percy, I know. Okay, so we've now got the basis of an Elizabethan collar. However, this is quite sharp on the inside, so there is another step. We can use electrician's tape, and we'll just do that for the purpose. Otherwise we could use masking tape, we could use a number of things, but I want a series of short strips of electrician's tape. So we're just making those. I've even used drug labels cut into little strips. But we want something that is semi-rigid and pliable. So I'm just making a series of short strips of electrician's tape here, and I'm going to show you what I'm about to do. Do one more. Alright, here's our Elizabethan collar. The next step is to take a little piece of that and to fit it on one side of the collar, and then fold it loosely against itself, fit it on the other side of the collar, and then to flatten it against itself there, so that we've now got, instead of a sharp edge, we've got quite a wide edge that's going to be against the bird's neck. And we repeat this process around the inside of the collar. Very easy. Let's make the next one and do the next one. If you make these strips too long, particularly on the beak side of the collar, then he's going to have something to chew, and we don't know what sort of plastic these strips are made of or made from, what the ingredients are, but I would regard them as a potential hazard.